Hi, everyone. I'm Frank Malico. I'm an anchor and a reporter, KTVU Fox 2 here in the San Francisco Bay Area. My guest is the co-founder and the CEO of Jenny Life. It's based up in Seattle. We'll talk about life insurance and our COVID-19 world. Let's say hi to Chirag Pancholi. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Good to have you with us. Let's start with Jenny Life. This is not your father's insurance company, and for that fact, not your mother's insurance company either. Tell us how you folks are different.
Yeah, so we launched Jenny Life simply with one central question. Why is there no insurance company for mothers and women? There's insurance companies for military, insurance companies for government employees and others, but 50.7% of the population are women, by far the largest group. And we scratched our heads as a team of men and women. We asked, why is there no insurance company for women? And it's a simple question, but it's a very fundamental one. And that is sort of central to what we're doing.
Okay, and also you don't need a medical exam to sign up with you folks, and you can do it practically over the phone or on the internet. Tell us how that part is different as well.
Yes, that is correct. So traditional insurance underwriting has required something called a paramed visit, sort of a nurse that comes to your home or office to take vitals, blood and urine samples, etc. And it usually takes 30 days or so for underwriting to happen. We thought that in the age of modernity in the year 2020, it shouldn't be the case. So we use data, algorithms, and background checks to alleviate getting poked and prodded with pins and needles. More importantly, that contracts the amount of time it takes for someone to get life insurance to get their family protected. So using data, analytics, and technology, we've been able to make the process much simpler and kind of democratize the product, such that a mom who's 35 years old in average health can get a $500,000 policy for about $1 a day. I mean, that's a wonderful protection. And we've innovated on this. We've had a number of patents. But more importantly, we really want to focus on moms and women because, frankly, they matter to us.
Give us some numbers. How many women actually have life insurance?
Yeah, so 28.5 million moms in the United States have no mortality protection. What that means is that 28.5 million families might not have the resources financially to sustain the death of their mother or the spouse in their family. If you think about the average mortgage in the United States is $309,000. The average mom has 2.1 children. The average savings account is about $10,000 and retirement is about $11,000. We notice that a sizable portion of our population is literally living on a precipice, financial precipice. And mortality is really important right now during the COVID-19 pandemic situation here, where mortality is more and more evident. While we might have safer cars with 20 airbags, people still die of health-related causes and accidental deaths, etc. Mortality is relevant to us because we're mortal beings. And what's interesting to us is life insurance is a product that's been invented for thousands of years ago. It's still relevant today in our modern age, and it will be relevant for a while. And we just want to make a solution that is specific and beneficial to 28.5 million families. As a matter of fact, the industry has overlooked this population substantially. And so we just scratched our heads and says, why not us? Why can't we build this company to serve this wonderful middle market?
Well, you touched on it a little bit, but how has COVID-19 kind of changed the world of life insurance per se? Are you more busy? Do you need to make changes? How does that work?
Yeah, so very good question, Frank. COVID-19 has changed some things, but it has not changed the most important things. Pandemics are covered by life insurance. I want viewers to understand that they can get comfort and solace in knowing that life insurance is fully backstopped with tremendous amount of capital resources through reinsurers and carrier partners. It is one of the most protected elements of financial services in our economy. Life insurance has to pay out. And by the way, it's regulated by 50 states. So there's a very healthy amount of governance that protects life insurance to make sure that when there are claims, that those claims get paid out. And so one thing that has not changed in COVID-19 is the simple fact that millions of families can get mortality protection for their family, such that if they die for any reason, that their family can have resources within 30 days, usually tax-free, of financial resources to pick up the pieces and courageously move on. Some things have changed, however. In the COVID-19 pandemic situation, there are extra questions that get asked by the agent, broker, and the carrier representatives. One question is, have you recently gone overseas in select countries in the last 30 to 60 days?
Right.
That makes sense, right? You want to know if someone was in a hazardous situation 30, 60 days ago who might have the virus. Couple of other things that have changed is the fact that there's oftentimes a statement that the consumer has to say that says, I don't believe I have COVID-19 because I never went to Taiwan or China or somewhere else. So it's just sort of an extra attestation by the insurance applicant to say, I've been in America, I'm here, I'm healthy, I want to seek mortality protection. So most things have not changed, but COVID-19 is covered under life insurance, right?
Under your premiums.
Under your premiums, yeah.
Tell us, are more people buying life insurance now after what's transpired the last couple of months?
You know, that's interesting. We have found almost a 600 to 800% increase in the amount of traffic coming to our site, our apps on the iOS and Android platforms, our websites. We have seen an inbound interest, and that's actually a good thing. While it might be good for ourselves as a company, but most importantly, it's a good thing because people are recognizing mortality risk as something that needs to be taken care of by a very economical product called life insurance. So we have had a material inbound organic interest in life insurance as a category and specifically for our company. We're certainly serving that audience that are interested. We have live agents, fully licensed and educated agents to answer any questions that consumers might have for those people who want to actually reach out and touch somebody and talk to them. We also have a fully digital solution so they don't have to talk to anybody or touch anybody. And so it really is different ways for different folks, if you will. But we are seeing a good, healthy increase in people understanding their mortality risk for their family and how they can avail themselves of it. Frank, I might add, most families don't have $500,000 saved up in liquid assets. Most don't. I know I don't. And we figured, gee, if someone were to die in your family for COVID-19 or flu or some other reasons, how likely is it that family would have $500,000 to pay off their mortgage so they don't get tossed out into, a family member's home? Or with $500,000, wouldn't it be great if 2.1 children, typically would have access to college? Those are wonderful benefits of life insurance.
Yeah. Why is it such a bugaboo to talk about it? I mean, you mentioned the word mortality protection. I mean, just those two words, it's like, all right, what do we have for dinner tonight? That kind of thing. It is a little scary to talk about, but when you need it and when you're down and you have lost a spouse, it is vital.
Frank, you've touched on one of the most to life insurance protection for families. It is a very adult thing to talk about if you think about it, like mortality. Most people would rather say, well, I'd rather buy a Hulu Plus or Disney Plus and have my kids play on the latest and greatest Wii. Those are fun topics. But at some point, adults and people who really care about the lifestyle quality of their family and sustenance of their family and growth really have to spend a little bit of time to think about, well, gee, what would happen if I'm not around? What would happen if my wife is not around? Luckily for us in modern age, those conversations can be handled with technology, our branded solutions and services. So you don't have to dwell on the negativity. You can just equip that negativity to recognize the risk and find a product that covers that risk. And then you can sleep well at night. Mortality risk sounds really sort of industry speak, right? But it's really just a question like, hey, if my wife's not around, how am I going to keep my kids from killing each other? How am I going to keep myself sane, right? And it's kind of a fun way to think about it. Maybe fun's not the right word, but it's a more easier way to think about, like, on a dark, dreary night that's cold, who will come and comfort us and our family with a warm cup of coffee and a blanket and an umbrella? That's what life insurance is. Oftentimes, families' most darkest, coldest, rainiest time, life insurance is the most proper protection to have. And oftentimes people think, oh, well, you know what, maybe I'll just do a GoFundMe or something if something happens. Well, GoFundMe is not insurance. GoFundMe is a solicitation to get people to donate to your situation. Wouldn't it be more proper for a good home to already have insurance such that they don't have to avail themselves of GoFundMe?
Totally. Are you finding that both men and women, both spouses, take out a policy now?
Yeah, it's very interesting. The industry has historically focused on male breadwinners, right? Our society was very male-centric, male-dominated. The industry was slow to adapt to that, and we're the leading edge on changing that discourse. We're the world's first insurance brand for women and moms, period. We're excited about what we're doing because now what's interesting to us is the fact that people think that most people historically have thought that the male was the CEO, quote unquote, of the home. But as you know, and I know, like my wife, your wife, yeah, she's the real CEO, you know. I may be the CFO at best.
And
At
she's
best,
listening. She just gave me a thumbs up. Thank you for that.
right? It's all, I think it's always been that way. I just think that it wasn't openly discussed. And I think we recognize that oftentimes women are the brand ambassadors for their family. They're the gatekeepers of brands to bring home into the home, right? Bring brands into the home. And so we wanted to serve this audience because mothers are so absolutely special and unique. What your mom says, you're going to listen to. You know, what my wife says, I listen to with complete affection and candor and openness. We have found that when a woman buys life insurance from Jenny Life, more often than not, she taps her husband and says, "Hey, Joe, by the way, do you got life insurance? Because what happens if you're gone?" You know, and so often, more often times than not, statistically, we have seen that both of the family members, the two adults, guardians, if you will, get life insurance through us. Now, what's interesting is it usually was the male would get life insurance and the woman would never have life insurance. I mean, how odd is that? That's like clapping with one hand. It's impossible. Like you
Sure.
can't clap with one hand. You have to have two hands clapping to make a wonderful sonorous sound. Well, if a traditional marriage both parents have life insurance, or modern family type situations have life insurance, then you have a very healthy clap sound, and that makes sure that you protect your family. We're really excited about what we do because we're not trying to sell another tech wizard gadget or anything. We're just saying, look, for $1 a day, would you want to have $500,000 to your family in liquid benefits on the coldest, darkest, dreariest day of your life, if that ever happens? And what better product to sell and offer to consumers in society than that?
Right.
I will also add, Frank, what's interesting is if you think about the number of families that are on a financial precipice, meaning they don't have enough adequate savings. If you think about the number of families, 28.5 million that we assess, and there's certainly more than that, what is the likelihood that those families might have to go on welfare, infants, and children's programs, traditionally called food stamps, and Medicaid? There's a material population in our United States that if for some reason a mother dies or a parent dies, that family will have to be on government's support. And that's wonderful. In a free, open, democratic, and constructive society, that should be available to them. But wouldn't it be great if those families, just for $1 a day, had $500,000 or $250,000 available? They need not have to go onto government support, and they'd have that self-pride in knowing that they can take care of themselves. So there is a social good that happens to taxpayers when people buy life insurance.
Sure. I know you're based in Seattle, and for our viewers all over the country, a little thumbnail sketch, what's going on in Washington, because you folks were one of the first states hit. I know that that nursing home, a lot of deaths there. How are things in the greater Seattle area now with COVID-19?
Yeah, Seattle's a very resilient city. Our leadership is very cognizant of data, public policy mandates, but also our ability to get productive, but also take care of our families. Seattle is super strong. And since we were one of the first large cities to have the COVID-19 experience, I think the benefit for the rest of the country is the fact that they can learn lessons from how we adapted to that change event. Seattle is very strong. I see people walking on the streets, but they're using proper protection, 6 feet of distancing, face masks, etc. It's a very technologically rich city as well. So oftentimes when people are working remotely and using new technologies to make sure they're productive and mentally healthy as well as physically healthy without having to spread a virus that they may unknowingly have. I do believe that our country is very strong. We have an amazing governance capacity. We're a strong yet flexible society, free society. And I get even more patriotic every single morning when I wake up, knowing that we have a free, open society led by some amazing people all across national, state, and local government. Of course, our first responders, et cetera. So, when others sort of wring their hands and cry about the situation, I look at it more optimistically and say, look how wonderful our country is.
Right.
And the world, as a matter of fact, in this unknown pandemic. I'm really confident about the future.
Well, good. I am as well. We're talking about Jenny Life. That's your company. One last chance. Why don't you tell folks that have been watching and listening, if they want to get in touch, what do they need to do?
Yeah, jennylife.com, as well as our phone number, 855-88-JENNY. Our company is named Jenny Life because everybody knows a wonderful Jennifer. My wife's name is Jennifer.
Oh, good.
And, so jennylife.com would be a great place to learn about life insurance. And if you need it, then we'd be happy to help.
All right. It's Chirag Pancholi of Jenny Life. He's the founder and the CEO. I want to thank you for joining us here on coronavirusnow.com. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Frank. Stay safe.
You too. All the best to you. I'm Frank Malicote here in the Bay Area. We'll send it back to you.